James from Fall 50 Feet. Super psyched about this. Thank you so much for joining me today on Not Fest Daily. How are you?
I'm great.
I want to say thank you for joining me. Of course, you're just spinning your latest single, Shortcuts to Hell, which is officially out for everyone to enjoy. And that is taken from your forthcoming debut, full length Twisted World Perspective. So, how pumped are you to finally drop all of these new tracks for everybody?
Ridiculously psyched on it. We've been we've been a band for a minute under kind of under wraps. Like we were all in a band before. We kind of decided to call that quits and just work on a new project. And so we kind of just wanted to keep it under wraps until we were actually ready for everything to you know, like ready with all the proper stuff we needed to release it.
Was it kind of driving you crazy that whole time, just sitting on this material, knowing how close you are to that finish line?
Absolutely, literally, we recorded. We started recording this album about 2 years ago, like a
Oh,
little over.
wow.
So it was like a lot of time of just waiting and waiting. Like when we originally went in, we recorded with a session drummer, and they totally came in unprepared, and they were kind of young and inexperienced and put us in a bad spot, so we ended up having to go back again, re-record the whole album on drums.
Oh,
And just it was a long process, but I think we're all happy on how it turned out. Like if it wasn't for the producer Greg, who he's been in Misery Signals, he's now in the band End. If it wasn't for him, I don't think the album would have really came to fruition the way it did. Like we might have given up or just I don't know, made it less than it could have been.
well, I'm happy that even though after that one guy kind of screwed the pooch on everything, you were able to put it all back in order. And
Yeah.
definitely these new tracks are sounding great. So
Awesome.
it all worked out.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, I feel right now, many people definitely have a twisted world perspective just with how things are currently going in the world, definitely in many different ways. So, what was the moment or reasoning that sparked that to be the record's title?
So the actual title for the record came from a Kevin Smith movie. If you ever seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back,
Yeah,
so there's a scene in that movie where they there's a guy in the back of the van riding with all these hot chicks, and
yeah.
basically uh the I forget all the names of the characters, but he's trying to convince everyone that he screws animals, and he's like, you got a sick and twisted world perspective, buddy. And one of us just quoted that at the other person. Me and Dave were standing in our kitchen, one of us said that to the other, and we were like, twisted world perspective. That's sounds like
That's
an album
dope.
title. But
Yeah.
of course that's where it comes from, but throughout the album there's a lot of lyrics about perspective and the way you see things, because life really is all about perspective and how you're viewing the world, and how it's kind of hard to understand how anyone else is really looking at anything. You can judge people for the things they do, but without their outlook, without their life experiences, you can't really be in their shoes, so it's hard to say why these things we do why we actually do them, because without who's to say any of us would do anything if we didn't have this exact right set of circumstances bring us to this.
No, for sure. I love how it started from Jay and Silent Bob and then it actually took on its
Literally.
own perspective. I think that's incredible. I love that film, but hearing it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I know that scene. But
Yeah.
I would have never thought it just seeing those three words put together, you
Yep.
know? That's
Yep.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But you asked fans the other day where they would like to see the album go sound wise. So does that mean that you played with many different genres or experimented with a lot of different sounds? Just kind of let us folks at Not Fest in a little bit.
Well, I don't know. We are definitely a band who likes to include a lot of different sounds in our music anyway. So I don't know. I feel like when you're dealing with this kind of progressive mathy type music, a lot of times you expect there to be a bunch of different genre changes and whatnot. So I feel like these two songs have been a little more straightforward of the album. this last one, Shortcuts to Hell, ends with like, the big melodic section, and I feel like that's really just an entry into a lot of the more melodic parts and like softer parts that are in the album. These two
Okay.
songs, like the rest of the album is heavy and chaotic, but there definitely is a lot of like intertwined softness, like post-hardcore choruses and things like that.
I feel like a part of that and the reason that comes into play is because Trivium and Bullet for My Valentine had some inspiration on this record, especially when it came to the guitar playing. So, who were some of the bands you were either listening to while putting this whole thing together, or who have just been a constant in your life who you kind of were looking to as a little bit of motivation going into putting this record together?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I said that was because like I listened to like a lot of the guitar playing on this record, and like I pretty much write all the songs like music wise, and there's just a lot of like my guitar playing that was really formulated by that like 2005 mainstream like melodic metalcore type sound, like bands like Trivium, Bullet for a Valentine, Children of Bodom, like those bands. Like I learned guitar when I was listening to them, so they bleed into a lot of stuff I play. But like the stuff I was listening to when I wrote this, I don't know. There's a lot of different stuff. I was listening to a lot of The Chariot, a lot of Dillinger, System of a Down, like I don't know, like a just a wide range of stuff. But then there's a lot of not metal stuff that I feel like is the reason why I try to like take you out of like just being a metal song sometimes. Like one of my
Hmm.
favorite albums of all time is Choose Your Weapon by Hiatus Coyote. I love a lot of math rock stuff. TTNG's 13 album is like one that's always on repeat, like even older stuff. And then right after this album, I kind of have had a love affair with like late 90s early thousands like emo and pop punk. So like I've been on that since this album like was recorded, but like,
Okay.
so it's just a lot of different stuff mixed in there.
The beauty of it being so eclectic, though, is it's not like it's going to sound just like one thing. I don't hear your music and think, oh, this sounds like that band. Like it's kind of a melting
Mhm.
pot of a bunch of stuff, which is a really cool thing to have going for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, the last thing that I wanted to ask you about is the fact that the band tweeted a couple days ago, good publicity is bad publicity. Please, somebody be mean to us on something like Pitchfork. So, has any of the bad publicity you were hoping so much for rolled in yet?
Sadly, no. But
Oh,
I don't know. I feel like so many of my favorite bands growing up, like they were like and it's not exactly like these bands were huge, but like just a lot of bands that can stir up some controversy by being like a little weird or different and not liked by everyone can be a good thing. Like when I was a kid, I set my friends on fire. I wrestled a bear once. Like those bands like were doing like weird things that no one liked. Well, not no one liked, but a lot of people didn't like. And it's like they got a lot of hate for it, but it just kind of made them bigger. And then now you see bands like Kainashi, which like one of my favorite bands right now, and they're like stylistically so much different, vocally so much different than anything other metal bands are doing, and they catch a lot of flack for it. But like the fans they garner from like having that unique sound are so much stronger. Like I don't know, bands that takes like a listener to get into. Sometimes like you form stronger bonds with because of that. Because like
right.
you like almost had to learn how to listen to it. Goes back into the whole perspective thing. Sometimes you can't just
Bringing
listen to
it back.
something the first time and love it. Sometimes you have to listen to something in the right place at the right time. Like I can listen to a song and be like, this is okay. And then like never listen to it for another 2 years. And then it just hits me at the right moment. And suddenly I'm like, I get this. I get why this is amazing. Like it just hit me right. And now it's like my favorite thing?
Oh, for sure. And I'm just want to say I'm really sorry to disappoint, but I'm gonna also have to give you guys a positive review. So you're gonna have to keep hunting and searching for those really terrible ones. But I just want to say thank you
Next
so
time.
much. Next time, thank you so much, James, for taking the time for hopping on here today. It has been an absolute delight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. To everybody watching, this has been James from Fall 50 Feet. And of course, I want to just drop again that their debut album, Twisted World Perspective, comes out on July 9th, and you can check out a bunch of their singles right now. Again, thank you so much.
Thanks.